welcome to 49 Unbeaten, the official ArsenalVavel podcast. This is episode 31. I'm joined by Ben and Dan, and we're here to talk, well, probably rant more than talk about Arsenal's 1-1 draw against Slavia Prague at the Emirates in the Europa League quarter-final first leg. Who wants to kick us off? Who wants to rant first?
I'd like to start. It's just, I think it's really exciting because can't wait to be back in the UCL next season. UEFA Conference League. we're destined for it. It was horrendous. The performance was just so frustrating. Like I tweeted out saying that the mediocre, like how mediocre this side is. It's just humiliating, and how far we've come, and now we're struggling to beat teams like this. And so many times this season, it's taken other teams to score or to do something for us to like show a reaction. And why is it taking onto this for us to then do something? Like last night, we just never got going. And the second we do get going, we score a good goal. Game management, mentality, weak. It's just, yeah, it was not good to watch. And I'm filled with dread and worry for next season. I'm not going to lie.
I was annoyed from the start. That team selection pissed me off, to be perfectly frank. just go for it. I mean, I don't understand the point of playing Willian. Like,
I mean, the guy's got to play sometimes. You can't just go on the desk and like sign all the papers.
No, I'm not saying that, but I mean, it's such like if you're going to play him in the games that don't really mean anything. Like you're playing him against Sheffield United, who are bottom of the league. What's the point of playing him? He's done nothing for us this season. Why play him in a really important game?
You could argue that he's like a game like this we're expected to play well in. Like you couldn't expect everyone to play as poorly as they did last night. And Willian in recent weeks hasn't been as poor as he was at the start of the season. We have to give him that. And
we've praised him when he had some form and got some assists.
Yeah.
But he got 2 assists in 2 games and then he's gone back to being dreadful. Like, I don't want to criticise the players, but I mean, the team section...
I don't want to criticise the players, but I'm going to criticise the players.
The team selection was wrong from the outset, I think. I mean, we couldn't help the injuries we've had with Odegaard and with Tierney. It made sense, Cedric at left back, got behind that. Bellerin at right back, fine, probably expected it. But physical side, I could have understood if Chambers played. Midfield is what it is. But Willian, I just want to see some youth, or like someone like Martinelli is. You saw when he came on. Why did it take 71 minutes for Arteta to make a sub to bring on Martinelli? Then 4 minutes later, you make a triple sub. I just don't understand some of the decisions he makes. And I'm not even on this Aubameyang hype. He got an assist. He should have scored anyway. I did one thing that game. He's saying like, well, Martin Keown and Karen Carney and the pundits were like, "Oh, we changed the game." He did one thing. It was dreadful night. Everyone was poor. Saka should have scored. Lacazette should have scored. I'm not having either of that. They were both dreadful. Missed, gilt-edged, open opportunities. We should have won that game 4-0. Absolutely nonsense. We shouldn't have been worrying about qualifying. Dreadful, unacceptable performance in a European quarter-final.
Now that you've got your rant out of the way, Josh, shall we talk about the game more sensibly, I suppose?
I think that was a very fair and sensible assessment, but we can break it down further if we want.
Well, I mean, I agree with you in principle. I think the lineup was not the best. I mean, I don't mind Willian playing particularly. What I did mind was seeing the 2 right footers on the left hand side. It just doesn't work, does it? It just doesn't work. If you're going to play a side, the whole Arsenal game plan seemed to be getting runners in behind the Slavia Prague defence. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to make the pitch narrower, it makes it more difficult for the players to run in between the defenders. So it just seemed to be so counterintuitive. And then there was I think Mikel Arteta have to take a portion of blame here because even before the substitutes, I think the way he set that team up, we should, as Arsenal, be good enough to go and play like we've been playing all season, and beat Slavia Prague comfortably. We don't need to turn up and try and, try these new tactics of having Smith Rowe run from number 10 off the last shoulder, off the shoulder of the last man, rather. No space in the middle, get Holding Gabriel on the ball as much as possible, let them dribble forward with it and find those passes. We don't need to do that. We needed a player at number 10, like we've had since January, to link up the play, and then we could play properly instead of this sort of. It did just seem a bit West Ham like the bad West Ham, not now West Ham, like 4 years ago West Ham, 3 years ago.
It seemed very reminiscent of before Unai Emery got sacked. I mean, we can't beat around the bush. It did the team. Something Mikel Arteta was praised for so much when he came in was structure and discipline. Why have these things suddenly not in place? Like pressing as a team, you used to see that, defending, a formation, a shape, and all of a sudden it's like these things aren't being focused upon as more. Is that the manager, or is that the players struggling to maintain the levels of what's expected of them? Because Mikel Arteta, he talks a brilliant game, and on occasions he's shown it. But I just wonder, is he still is it still way too soon? Like, I'm not Arteta out at all. I do believe he can. I want to give him that chance, but I think if we get knocked out by Slavia Prague, you have to ask questions.
I think this is the inexperience of a coach. Let's be frank, he's not a manager. He's never had managerial experience. He's a coach. And I think either, like you said, Ben, adapting to the situation or just routinely playing the seam and the tactics that the players are used to and not chopping and changing it. And I think, I'm not Arteta out, but we need someone experienced in there, and we don't have that. Someone who's sort of, not the pedigree, because obviously historically as fans, we expect a lot more. And we're not at the level we were 15 years ago. And we all know that. But we still have high standards, and playing tactics as we did in a European quarterfinal with someone who's had 16 months of management experience. I mean, I don't know why we're surprised this is happening, because we've seen it happen before. It happened last season against Olympiacos. I know he was new to the job, but we didn't see out the tie, and we really should have done. And it gets to places. I think the FA Cup has papered over some cracks, and we've sort of let things slide because we won the FA Cup, and the way we won it was brilliant. We beat Chelsea, great. We beat Man City, great. And then it's a dreadful season domestically. European, edge through against Olympiacos. I mean, need to now go away in Prague and win, like, straight up. I worried at the time when he got the job that his inexperience would come back and bite him. And it looks like it's going to. And I don't know whether that means, I don't know whether getting someone in as an assistant with a bit more experience just to guide him or mentor him, or having someone. There's Edu's not experienced in the role he's in, which feeds down, and there's problems throughout the whole squad. And I think that we're never going to achieve anything that we want to achieve at the moment with the way the current structure is.
But let's be fair as well and say that if Arteta had better players in that tie, or if our players had performed better, it wouldn't be a question. We'd be saying Arteta got his tactics spot on, Those runs were brilliant. Those setup was brilliant. We won 4-0. We're basically through. It is a lot on the players. And I mean, you look at the equaliser, for example, Cedric getting the ball at left back. I know Arteta selects him, and, that is his cross to bear. I would have played Saka personally, but I mean, that's a whole different matter. But the choice to go back to Gabriel in the 93rd minute, despite being told to go long by Arteta and playing us into danger.
There's only so much he can do. There's only so much he can do.
He can't play the game forward.
It's not just down to him; it's down to the players as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think you look at the chances we had, the chances we had and the mistakes we made. Aubameyang scores that Lacazette chance. 9 times out of 10.
But there again, you could say Lacazette presses more than Aubameyang, so Aubameyang probably wouldn't have got himself in the situation in the first place. So it's a difficult one.
You can't compare, and you can't say, oh, if we had a better winger, or if we had not a better winger, because I think Saka's been brilliant, and it's harsh to criticise him. If we had a more experienced winger, I mean,
but we've got
in hindsight, you look at if we sign Zaha and those rumours have come back again, Zaha scores that 1-on-1 because I know it's all hypothetical and it doesn't count for anything, but players made mistakes. Arteta made mistakes, and we really should have seen that game out, and we can't help the fact. But it's not all on him, but the players and the management need to look at themselves after that performance and that result.
I think Arteta has, a lot of Pep syndrome as in that when Pep came in, he obviously had that horrible first season. He signed Bravo, and then had that horrid first season with Bravo and Otamendi making mistakes, and City not being as, polished as everyone thought that a manager who'd just come from success with Bayern would be making them. And then they bought the players. They invested in the players that Pep wanted. And all of a sudden, they've become Centurions. They've won the quadruple. They're a brilliant, brilliant side.
But are we going to see that investment? Because City investors are very different to Kroenke.
Yeah, of course. But I'm saying Arteta, I think, falls whereas some managers, you look at a lot of the relegation managers that come in, that carousel of Alan Pardew, Tony Pulis, Sam Allardyce, all of them that come in and try and save the clubs from relegation every time. They're very good at getting the best out of the players that they have at their disposal. Whereas Arteta seems to be not very good at that, in the same way that I don't think Pep is particularly good at getting the best out of players that aren't perfectly suited to his system. And I think that we're seeing a lot of stubbornness. I hate to use the word stubbornness because it just brings back up memories of Arsene Wenger. But we're seeing a lot of stubbornness with Arteta failing to change his plans or change his tactics to suit the players that Arsenal have. And instead, he's trying to shoehorn the players that Arsenal have into his tactics. And we're seeing the results. It's not going to work. Arsenal need better players to play on Mikel Arteta's system, or they need to change the coach to a coach who's going to get more out of, frankly, some quite mediocre players.
There's some worrying rumours coming out of the club. Again, paper talk, you can't necessarily believe everything you read, but interesting reports coming out that Odegaard has suggested that not all the players respect Arteta. Arteta's interview, I think it was picked up. He was asked, have you spoken to Aubameyang since Liverpool? And he's like, I don't get time to speak to every player individually. And that was
all these reports. So it's very convenient because when we're winning games and Odegaard scored a great goal and he's driven us to West Ham, it's all talk about, I'm staying. So much talk about, I've been speaking to my agent and I want us to start putting things in place for me to stay next season. And
do you not read much into it then?
The second we start losing games, shock horror, I want to leave, I don't speak to the players, there's drama. So I think sometimes you just got to take everything with a pinch of salt. But with Odegaard, at the end of the day, if he doesn't want to stay with us or Real Madrid don't let him, then there's nothing we can do. We've got other transfer targets. And realistically now we've got to kind of take into account that players might not want to stay with us because we're literally dropping further and further down. And unfortunately, it's how it is. And in previous seasons, we've had a poor run of form at the start of the season, and then we picked up towards the end and potentially won like an FA Cup, or we got to a final of the European competition. But this season, our winning streaks lasted like a matter of months, and all of a sudden we're getting back down to this, and it's just so frustrating because ever since the FA Cup winning season, when just before Oxlade-Chamberlain left up, the players have been saying, we need to improve our league form, and we've gotten worse and worse and worse. And like we've got to face it, we're declining. We're not in like the league table doesn't lie. We're in. Are we still in 10th or have we dropped down to 11th?
There's 10th, but there's 10th. There's a game tonight that I think might change it if results go against us.
Well, yeah. So we're in 10th position. Arsenal Football Club are barely in the top half of the Premier League. We might not even make the UEFA Conference League. it's just at the stage now where you just need to go, how much worse can it get?
I know we've joked about it. Is a season out of Europe, and I know it's financially. We know the answer.
I think players would leave.
Is a season out of Europe the worst thing in the world? If we keep Arteta, which assuming we will, that can't afford to sack him, assuming we keep him, he can focus on one thing. In terms of like domestic football, there'll be no international travel. There'll be nothing. I mean, there'll be less competition to focus on, and we could then look at the Premier League and be like, right, we play once a week, every week, apart from the Carabao Cup game, we might play twice a week every month for a bit. Is it something that we need to now accept will happen, and maybe come to say, right, for a season, let's do it, and let's accept the fact it's happened, and we rebuild. You look at Chelsea, and I know it's not the same in the riches, and then they went on to win the league, but
the rebuild's been going on for the last 5-6 years, hasn't it?
But has it? Because we signed one marquee player a window, and everyone was like, "Oh, great, we've got Partey, we've got Özil, or we've got Pepe," and it's like, but you can't just give us one player at a time and then sort of surround him with mediocrity.
But unfortunately, I don't think anything else is going to. I don't think we're going to sign a load of marquee signings. I mean, I hope if the Cronkies make me eat my words, then happy days. But I can't see it happening. They haven't done it in the however many years they've been here. So why are they suddenly going to start doing it now?
To be frank, going back to the European competitions question, I couldn't really give a toss whether we're in the Europa League or out of the Europa League. I mean, it's you see, even if we win this competition, you watch the games on Tuesday and Wednesday, the quarterfinals, and you think Arsenal are nowhere near that level. No, Arsenal get hit for 6 by all 4 of those sides, and it's just it's really indicative of how far we've fallen. But also, a year out of Europe does so much for us in a positive way as well. I think it's really cliche, obviously, but the players get more rest. You can rotate your first 11 less. The players will get used to each other more. You won't have to have as much depth in the squad, which is going to be a huge issue, I think, because Arsenal have very little depth, especially in central midfield at the moment.
Only going to get weaker.
Yeah, and also I think it would be quite interesting to start going back to the Arsenal way of taking calculated risks on younger players. We've got to start looking at models that aren't Chelsea, Manchester City, or even Bayern Munich and buying talent at the price point that they buy them for.
We've got talent. We've got loads of talent. We've got some of the most talented players in the league, young players.
But I'm saying, in the positions where we don't, which, you're looking at right back, maybe as an upgrade, central midfield again, a proper attacking midfielder if we can't sign Odegaard, a striker. You've got to be, I think, looking at the Leicester model or even Ajax or the way the RB Leipzig are run, and be getting these younger players before they really explode. Because if we could do what Leicester do and really make it, we sell one big player a window and it finances 3 more players that, again, in the future will blow up in price. We don't like the tag of being a selling club because we've been a selling club under Wenger for so long. Van Persie, Adebayor, Clichy, etc. But
Josh's front too.
but the truth is, if we're going to be successful in this rebuild, we'll need to become a selling club. But that's just the hard trick because we can't fund it in any other way. We're not good enough to get to the level we need to sustain income at the moment.
I don't think we need to sign big players. I think. I mean, you talk about the position. Our attack, I think, in my opinion, if Balogun signs his new contract, I think our attack is settled. We just need more cover in the position. So the likes of Balogun, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, and Saka are 4 extremely exciting players. You then got the likes of Partey. You've got Guendouzi, who, like it or not, is a young, exciting player that could potentially come back if, seeing what happens. You then got the centre-back pairing of Saliba and Gabriel, which one that could go for years to come. Kieran Tierney, I mean, you can't really call him an injury-prone player, but since he's joined the club, he's been injury-prone. And then you've only got really the right back, where there's talk of Hakimi, and more cover in central midfield. And then you're talking about, in 5 years' time, a team that could go on to be pushing for, you'd hope, league titles and runs in the Champions League.
Yeah. I mean, the cover at left back is perhaps the biggest biggest problem Arsenal have. It was, we said it in January.
It's Joel is our left back up. If you have a injured Tierney and Cedric at right, or whatever it is our only natural left back is a 19-year-old Spanish kid.
But we said it in January, I think, at the end of the window when we were racing the window. Missing out on a backup left back when all of our play comes to our left back.
Yeah. I think you said we were linked to Junior Firpo, but we went for Odegaard. We can only afford one loan. We prioritised attacking midfield, fair enough. But then why let Kolasinac go?
I think Kolasinac is. He's a disaster.
As much as he's not the ideal person. He does a job
but he's also part of that clique that Arteta wanted out. You know,
100%. He needed to go. But if we knew we weren't signing a left back, I'd rather keep him than play Cedric there. I'm not going to lie.
I think there's stuff wrong at every level. Cronkies either don't invest money enough, don't want to invest in it, or maybe see their partnership with Arsenal coming to an end. Edu, no real experience.
No experience.
We will be able to judge Edu based upon, at the end of the summer transfer window, what it looks like.
But I don't even think we'll be able to do that either, because I think that at the end of the day, if we can't afford because Arsenal seem to be so set on these top targets, don't they? I mean, we heard all summer, party an hour, no one else. We heard Gabriel, and that was it. Arsenal don't seem to plan shortlists in the same way that Liverpool have said, we're going to go for Konate. If we don't get Konate, we'll get Kabak, et cetera, et cetera. We just seem to have the players that Arteta wants, and he's identified that one player, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll be able to get the 5, 6, 7 of the one player that we need in the summer.
What I find interesting as well is we've got Partey, but Houssem Aouar, we went so hard for him in the summer, but why is every journalist now coming up and saying Arsenal aren't going in for him again because people aren't convinced? If we're not convinced, then why did we try and sign him so bad in the summer? I don't understand that either.
But we were a few million off. It's not like we bid 40 and they said, give us 80, and we're like, fine, we're not doubling it. But we bid 55 or something, and it's like, oh no, we want 60. It's like, oh fine, no, we're not going to pay an extra 5 million. It's if you're willing to pay 55 million for a player, and then 6 months down the line you're like, actually, we're not too sure if you're the right one.
Just remember, this is the same club that bid 92 million for Thomas Lemar. So there needs to be a lot of perspective in our transfer.
We dodged one hell of a bullet in that not being accepted.
It was accepted. Lemar turned it down because he was playing for France that night.
Yeah. But we dodged a hell of a bullet for that not going through because...
I think he could have been a success in the Premier League. I think he could have done better for us than what Pepe's producing.
Mate, Lamar's been awful.
Yeah, no, but he's been awful in the Spanish league, where in the team that he's playing for, they had good wingers. And
I also think that he's not really set out for Atletico Madrid. He's been playing left wing back at times, basically.
Look at what he did for Monaco. Was a good player.
Would have probably played him at left wing back as well, to be honest.
Yeah, but you look at what he did for Monaco. Came in under Wenger, young French winger, would have slotted into that team really well.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I don't think I'm not convinced by Lemar, but we didn't sign him, and we signed Nicolas Pepe instead, who, to be fair to him, scored a good goal last night, and he's looked okay in.
I just think he needs more minutes. He needs a runner because when he was playing on the left for those few games he was quite good.
Why has he not been on there since? He's
just been dropped,
and then he's not played there since Southampton.
I think that there's a difficulty in this. There's a lot of talk about what Arteta wants in his front four, which is the 3 creators behind Aubameyang, or having
But it's not
sack
behind Aubameyang
him.
because you shift him out to the left, you play him up front for a game and then drop him and then
Well, this is the thing. I think
have a row with him.
Arteta is scrambling. To be quite honest, I think that he's an inexperienced manager. He doesn't have anything to fall back on, and because he's not getting the results with the system that he thinks should work. He's scrambling for new ones. Like Aubameyang through the middle didn't work against West Ham. Worked brilliantly against Leeds. Worked all right against Benfica.
So Lacazette in the number 10 as well.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I think it's the same as before Christmas, and I think it's the same to a degree as it was under Emery, when Arteta can see the road. I mean, I don't think he can see the road running out. I don't think he'll realistically be sacked. But in terms of his credit with the fans, I think Arteta can see the road running out. I think he's desperately trying to find a new way to just get some results by sacrificing what I assume are his principles.
Is he under pressure though? Like, genuine serious question. Put like loyalty or put anything of that side. If we finish 10th without a trophy, it means we have regressed from last season dramatically. Is he under pressure of losing his job this summer?
I don't think he's under pressure of losing his job. But
how crazy is that as well?
He'll be under a lot of pressure from the fans going into next season. That's for sure. But I think everyone at Arsenal very much backs him, like at board level. And I think because of the way the impact on Mikel Arteta on our club, as the whole club, I think Arsenal very much like him in that respect.
It's a bit of a Southgate thing.
He represents the value. He represents the values of the club very well. But there again, the fans, and also fans will be back next season. I also think that has an impact on it, because I don't think fans will have allowed, like you say it so much, but fans are quite literally like the 12th man on the pitch. 13, that's a lucky number, isn't it? The 12th man on the pitch, because like there's moments when you pass it backwards and no fans, like no one's going to say anything. But if you're in the Emirates, and there's so many times when I've been there, and someone's passed it backwards when you could have passed it forwards, every single person in that place will be screaming at you. And next time they're going to pass it forwards. Like there's certain pressures that fans put upon the team that I think come next season will make a difference.
I don't want to follow the Chelsea model, and I'm playing devil's advocate, but regression, and it's not like we've dropped a place in the league or we finished 5th, not 6th, or 6th, not 5th. But
I'd take that now.
No, but I mean to go from winning an FA Cup and finishing 8th, we saw that as a relatively mediocre season. It's not where we wanted to be, but we won a trophy. If we now finish further down the league than what we did and thought was a poor season, without a trophy, it's obvious regression. We're falling further behind than what we expected to be. I know it's an unprecedented. I know there's loads of factors in it, but do you look at models like Chelsea and say, when you see clear and immediate regression, you get rid and you think of something else?
No.
But I mean,
we're never going to do that. We're never going to be Chelsea.
But for me, Arteta's. You mentioned that he represents the values of the club. It's a bit like a Southgate thing, that he's so safe in that job because they're not going to get rid of him.
Southgate wouldn't even manage in the Premier League, in my opinion. I don't think.
He did. He got relegated, didn't he, with Middlesbrough?
Yeah, I could like Southgate not good enough to be a Premier League manager, let alone England manager. But I think Arteta he's not going to be under pressure from the board. I don't think he's going to be sacked. Like, I mean, I could say I'm 80% sure he's not going to be sacked. However, if we do get knocked out of the Europa, if we get to the final and lose to like Man United and it's not a humiliation, then there's only so much you can say. But if you get knocked out by Slavia Prague, or we get knocked out like in annoying fashion, and then we finish where we are at the moment, the fans will be piling a lot of pressure on him going to the start of the next season. And if we don't see immediate signings and results by January next season, I could say he could be gone.
But you think he's been there 16 months now? Emery got 18. 18 months takes him to the end of the season.
I think it's the fashion as well, though. But you say, like, just to pull you back on what you said earlier, you said winning the FA Cup papered over cracks. I don't think it papered over cracks. I think it bought him time.
Yeah, no,
And
but
I
we
think
forgave
naturally-
we forgave a lot of things.
With Emery, he lost us. We lost 4-1 in the European final, which was, don't get it wrong, an embarrassment. And
That might be my
we
worst
saw
day as
some-
an Arsenal fan.
sorry.
That might be my worst day as an Arsenal fan.
Oh yes, massively, massively. I think I actually cried that night. But the way we ended the season, so we had the run in. Arsenal had the easiest run in, and we pretty much lost most of those games and drew at home. We drew in certain situations. Was it to Brighton at the end of the season?
Right, was it Palace and Brighton? We drew, and we needed a win from those two games.
Yeah.
And lost to Wolves.
The way we went about it, we had the easiest run in. We didn't make the top four, and we barely made the Europa League.
Yeah.
And then we go to the European final and we lose. I think every fan then went, "Whoa, okay," because we started the season very well, had a very good performance against Tottenham, and I think that's where his side peaked. If I'm being honest,
We went on like a 20-game unbeaten run.
yeah,
22,
yeah, and if we carried that on throughout the rest of the season, he'd probably still be here. But I think Arteta, because he's won trophies, he's won the fans of trophies, he's created that bond between himself, the fans, himself, and the club. I think the second you win a trophy, that's what the game's there for. You're in the game to win trophies. And I think that does buy him time and naturally puts him, as everyone says, Emery's won more games in a shorter amount of time. But if Arteta's won us a trophy, I'm sorry, but in my opinion, that's what the game's about. That's like so much bigger than he's won more games than him.
Yeah.
And we've seen the performance. We dispatched of big teams and put in very good performances. But our best performances under Arteta are better than the ones against ones under Emery. So I just think he's going to be here regardless at the start of next season, unless we lose every game now. I think he's going to be here pretty much. That's a bit on the head.
I think the other thing to point out as well is that Emery was a bad fit at Arsenal. He was a good coach at points. He seemed a good coach at points, but it's a worldwide brand that you have to uphold when you represent Arsenal. And you see Arteta, he's always, perfectly groomed, etc., etc. And that, it's little things like that that just make a huge difference. You had, the good evening memes, everything that was going around with Emery. It just made Arsenal a laughingstock. And I think we are still a laughingstock for our performances on the pitch as much now, if not more. But I think that in terms of the managerial side of it, we've got a much more ambassadorial coach than we had with Emery.
Yeah.
And there are other obvious things. You can see a lot of tactical progression under Arteta than you could under Emery. Emery had 18 months and did nothing.
Maybe I'm just pessimistic and just think.
Really, Josh. Really?
I'm not calling for his head. Maybe I just see
Get
the other
Herrera
side.
back in.
No, maybe I see the other side of it and being like, to what point, as a commercial brand of Arsenal, does this come as protect the brand? Because Arsenal, with no trophies and no Europe, lose the Kroenke's money. And at what point are they going to be like, right, enough's enough? So it's a disconcerting view, and it's a very negative view of things. I'm not saying I want him sacked. I'm not saying I think he deserves to be sacked. But football, you can't just see football as our club anymore. You've got to see it as how much money does it make Adidas? How much money does it make the Kroenkes? And they're going to protect their brand. And if
we've made Adidas so much money this year. The number of kits we've released.
we're about 5 different shirts, aren't we?
We had a Chinese New Year kit. We had a pastel kit.
I think we've made more kits than we've had wins this season. I think that's actually a stat.
You got the home away third kit.
Mate, don't try and count. You'd be going, mate. There's
We're still on a time limit on Zoom.
There's loads.
Not
Because
quite.
the training kit you've got the Adidas Originals. You've got the 424
Human Race.
Oh, there's Human Race ones. There's oh mate, just
a lot of kits.
Don't even bother. But I think that's actually a stat. I think we've actually released more kits than we've had wins this season.
But let's on Arteta, let's be fair as well, because we are saying this at a low point of our season where we could still have won a game 4-0 against a pretty poor Slavia Prague side. I know that's going to come back and bite me next week, but they were absolutely dog last night.
They were a bad team. They were a poor team. We were a bad team last night. We put in we put in a horrendous performance, and you can't blame him for all the misses. But
we were an okay side that played very poorly. They are a poor side with some okay players.
They're unbeaten domestically. They've not lost since December or something. Like they're a good
Czech league.
No, but
name me another club from the Czech league that aren't Sparta Prague.
Oh, I was going to say Sparta Prague to be fair.
Sparta Prague.
But this is, with all due respect, and they've, obviously they've had some good players. Sufal and Souček have both shown the Czech league is no joke, but it remains the Czech league. Like, if you can't beat a side from the Czech league, like we didn't last night, you've got to look at why. And we should have beaten them with the chances we had. The tactics were a bit wrong. The substitutions were quite wrong. But we have the chances.
They were the right subs at the wrong time. Don't go 70 minutes into a game without making a change and then bring on one player, then 2 minutes later make a triple sub.
This, I think by the sounds of it, by the sounds of his pre-match quotes, Arteta had this plan in mind that he would make these changes towards the end, because he was talking about his use of the 5 subs and the fact that he could, change the game at certain points. And in terms of how they affected the game, they had the maximum impact by bringing them on when he did, because the game switched literally like a light switch. It was completely different.
Danny Sabas came on, we conceded.
The problem was we were so flat to start with that even the minor lift we would have got if they come on at 60 minutes would have been probably enough to score a couple more.
We can't judge. We don't know what he sees, what he's hearing. We don't know anything about what's going on. We just see it and judge and say 71 minutes you bring on Martinelli for Willian, and 75 minutes you bring on Aubameyang, Pepe and Elneny, and then with 5 minutes to go you bring on Ceballos. We don't know players' fitness, we don't know anything. It's just flat. You never know. We might go next season. We might go next week away to Prague and win 3-0, and then we'll get Olympia. I keep saying Olympiacos. I don't know why. Villarreal probably, or Moscow.
No. We're not going to curse it. We got
but I mean, we say this and we'll go and sort of do quite well next week. But we have got a Premier League game on Sunday night, and that's where our next attention has to be.
I played a weakened team against Sheffield United. I think they play as weird as it might sound. I'd play like Willian. I'd play Pepe. Not that Pepe is part of a weakened team, but play like Willian, Lacazette, and Pepe with Smith Rowe or Odegaard.
I think,
and then play your full strength side against Slavia Prague, because we've got to go for it. Because it sounds depressing, but we need to go for it against Slavia Prague. I wish we were saying, we've got Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League quarterfinal. We need to go for it. But we've Slavia Prague. It just highlights how far we've fallen, unfortunately.
We'll focus more on Sheffield United in our preview that we'll do tomorrow. Yeah. I think, I'm sorry for this dragging on. It's all been a bit negative, but we're all just very annoyed about our result performance yesterday. Thank you for listening to us rant and moan and complain and try and
well done if you've made it this far.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's made it to however far we've got. None of us really know how to properly analyse a team and a performance and a manager. We're just fans talking nonsense most of the time. But we drew 1-1. We've got a second leg next week, got Premier League game at the weekend, and we can only hope for a better result and better performance. Thank you for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and we'll catch you on Saturday for our Arsenal versus Sheffield United preview. Goodbye.